and welcome. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce to all of you an award winning artist from Dallas, Texas, Miss Navneeta Khemka. Welcome to Lokvani, Navneeta ji. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste, namaste. Thank you, Rajni ji. It's a pleasure to be on Ekal. You all have such an amazing platform. I'd like to thank Jarna and Parveen ji and you, Rajni ji, for giving me this opportunity to be an ambassador. Art is amazing, and you have the platform and reaching out to so many kids. You're doing an amazing job, and I so appreciate and I really thank you to give me this opportunity to be a part of this amazing journey.
Thank you so much. So it's really very kind of you to say that. For those of us people who may not know what ACAL is, we are an organization that brings education to over 100,000 remote rural villages. And Indie Art is a competition that has been put together by ACAL Vidyalaya Foundation of USA to engage the creative juices of the people in the US while bringing digital literacy to remote rural India. And we are honored and pleasure that this great artists like Navneeta have come on board as indie art ambassadors to provide workshops, to help us out and promote the cause itself. So thank you, Navneeta ji. Really kind of you to do that. And
thank you.
I'd love to know, I mean, the artist of your caliber, how does one become such an artist? Where does it start? I know you, when I looked at your bio, it says you are not just one kind of artist, you're a multi-talented woman who is, I think, a fashion designer by training, but at the same time is a radio jockey, is doing so many other things. But where did the artistic journey all begin?
So yes, I am a fashion designer by profession. Probably that's where the color combinations, my strength from the beginning. When my teachers saw my projects, they would say, "You have your strength of colors." So at that time, it was just in fashion, and fashion, you have to do a lot of projects where you have to do croquis and dress the models and all of that. So it started there, but I never thought that I'll be an artist. So even in New York, I went and attended Fashion Institute of Technology, but
Yeah.
I was doing fashion merchandising there. I did a lot of jobs in fashion actually, in India as well as in New York. And when I moved to Dallas, that is where the fashion uh, turned into real canvases. So, the canvases just pulled me, and I started doing a few of them first, and then I entered myself into competitions. And when I was selected in competitions and I won a few, that's when it just happened that somebody gave me the opportunity to do a full fledged exhibit after a year. For 8 months, I painted for 16 hours a day,
Wow.
and I came up with 40 paintings. The painting that is behind you
Yeah.
is from that series. Sound of Music is the name of this entire collection. So something or the other is musical. So the one behind me, that is musical medley, and music in pieces, the one which you have behind you. So all these paintings, and so excited to tell you the one you have behind you is the first painting that got sold in
Wow.
that exhibition. So,
Wow.
so it was
I picked it very randomly. It just drew me to, itself. So I loved it and I picked it. So obviously it caught the eye of somebody else as well. So I'm glad that I and your first customer think alike.
awesome. You're absolutely right, Arjunji, because this painting happened in my dream. I just feel everything is surreal. Life is surreal. Things have, for me, universe makes a lot of my decisions, I feel. So it was like a booker's block. I had painter's block, and my exhibition was already there 8 months later. And I was like, what am I doing? I am not getting any ideas. And in my dream, I got this entire painting. I painted it over and over 4 times in my dream. In the morning, I just sketched it out, and I finished that painting in a few days. And that
Wow.
was the first painting that got sold. So sometimes I feel that the universe gives you a lot of clues, and if you really follow, That's where
Beautiful.
you need to be.
You know, somebody told me, one of the artists was telling me that he believes that the universe, the creator, is a tremendous artist. And that's why we have art in us. And that's how it's a question of expressing it. And I think for talented people like you, that antenna is out and you are able to bring out the beauty that is within you and without you onto a canvas. So, so impressed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Music, wow. So, how would you define your style? Do you have a particular style that you follow?
So it's contemporary art. I use a lot of textures, and I also mix and match a lot of Western to Indian. So tanjore is one art which is from the 16th century, from the Chola dynasty. And there you have to do a lot of relief work. It comes in stages, and then you use real gold leaf, 22 karat gold leaf, and press it on it. So the painting you see behind me, there you have the relief work. So even the artists out here, I train them on Tanjore so that they can use that art, because art doesn't see boundaries. The techniques don't see boundaries. So they can use these art and use it in their form of art. They do a lot of oil painting, still life, where they have fruit bowls and fruit lying on the table. So even the bowl, if they do it in Tanjore, they can do it. So I have given workshops here, and they are very fascinated. The products which we use are very Indian products, like the clay which we use, but they have some substitutes here where the artists would figure out what they would want to do.
That's
So
amazing. I mean, you're not from Tamil Nadu, and yet you seem to be drawn to Tanjavur art. How did that happen?
So I was in India and I got drawn to this art. You're right. Gold really attracts me, whereas I don't wear a lot of gold jewelry. But this art, for me, in India, it is only confined to god and goddesses. But the technique can be used by anybody, I felt. So, even now I have seen that all of your other ambassadors are, you have Madhubani painting and other sort of painting which they are doing. But then if you can cross it over with the Western world, so we will find our importance even more when it will start showing in other art forms.
Right.
Why does it only have to be portraits and landscapes and only, you know, uh, we also see still life here. There are only 4 or 5 kinds which I see, or
Right.
animals.
Right.
However, we have so much of variety in India. Colors are amazing. So you will always see a lot of color in my painting when you ask me what my style is. My style is a lot of textures, lot of colors, and I do not like just I have done a lot of realistic paintings, but now photography has evolved so much that in photography you can get the realistic. But
Yeah,
if you do a painting like this is painting you cannot find in the real world.
because it's an image from your mind, like you said, an image from your dream that has
Correct.
been put
Yes.
out, that doesn't exist, you know. So yeah, actually I'm hearing that more and more all the artists who have been trained in Madhubani or other Varli art are now bringing other ideas, you know, intertwining them with multi-dimensional art forms and creating a new art form. I think every one of you has a signature of your own, and I think that is just tremendous. And actually what fascinates me is that I think there is such a treasure of art in India, and that all of you are bringing it out. I think that is really great. I mean, I think our heritage is so rich. Would you say so?
Totally. I have a lot of Rajasthani inspired, the henna inspired. I use my own style with like the one which you have, because we have that as an example, which I'll tell you. There's a lot of intricate work behind. So that is very Rajasthan inspired. So the colors of Rajasthan, the different heritage, even Tanjore from south, north, south, east, west, wherever you go, India is full of treasure of art forms and art styles, which if you marry it, you get a different style of your own, whatever fascinates you.
Fantastic. And so when you use these things, obviously there's a great reception in the West, you would say?
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. There was a lot of, so I had my exhibition for a month, and a lot of other places have also picked up. From there, I was picked up for another exhibition because they liked style, and they wanted me to showcase, and they thought I would bring in a lot of different dimension to the people who are their clients. So yes, it takes you from one place to another, and you feel lucky and blessed that the universe is also pushing you in different ways too.
Sure, and has given you a treasure trove to draw from, from
Yes.
your Indian heritage. I think that's many of the artists have said that we all feel blessed that we came from India, because we, by osmosis, we have so much treasure that has come to our artistic sensibility. So that is really wonderful, wonderful. Go
So
ahead.
I will try. I want to mention one thing here. Here when the competitions happen in America, mostly it is about the American art, which is wildlife or watercolor, oil, and similar kind. So I think in Dallas there's a huge population which is Indian, and for me, I was in a dilemma at one point of time because the competitions which I won with a bird or an animal, but I wanted to win out of an Indian art, and that's when it started happening. That's when I said, yes, this is where I want to be, because this is where I identify myself.
Wow, that's fantastic to remain true to what your passion is and your interests are rather than just suiting yourself to be for a competition. But in this process, I know indie art is also a competition. What value do you think there is for competitions? Because artists often have a mixed emotion about it. They love to participate, and yet they are like, art is not about competition.
No, it is. See, art is very relative. What I like, you might not like. Same as music. So, you just express yourself. It is not about winning or losing. That is true. But when you have a deadline, you have to enter. That makes you focus and you want to do it. Most of the time, we have so many things in our mind and we feel that we will do it one day. But when the one day is there next week, you sit this night and finish that one day today. So that pushes you, and I think everybody should really put themselves in these competitions, not to judge themselves, but to just be out there and do something. So many kids are coming out with getting involved in these workshops which you are giving. So that's just wonderful. I mean, just absorb as much as you can.
Yeah, that's really great. Actually, it was wonderful that all of you are kind enough to give us, give the students this opportunity to learn from you. And I think, those workshops have been such an inspiration because it's a diverse form of art. And I think even the ambassadors are learning from each other. So I think that is been
It's
such a,
amazing. You brought in a whole lot of people under one umbrella. I think the credit goes to you guys. Amazing.
like you said, the universe is conspiring with us, to do great
Absolutely.
good, do great good. So yeah, now I'd love to hear from you. What are you thinking about when you're in your workshop? What do you think, Ekal, and what motivated you to join Ekal and this indie art competition? It takes time out of your schedule, and we are so grateful for your time. But what motivated you to join Ekal?
So when Jenna connected with me and she told about the cause, I mean, everybody, we are busy every time, but when there is a cause and somebody knocks that there's this cause and you feel for that cause, and it is also related to what you can offer. If she would have told me to do something on the line of cooking, probably for me, I wouldn't have been quickly associated to it. It
Right.
is art. It is an association. It is a platform, and there are so many kids who are getting helped by it. I mean, everything was a tick.
I love that. So, what do you think? Do you want to share a painting or an idea that you find very special with you?
So for me, Buddhas have come very naturally. I get very attracted to Buddhas. And when I paint Buddhas, it just takes me to a very, very different level of involvement. So one of my painting, which was called the Enlightened One, which you will see next. This painting, in this, Buddha doesn't face you, but you you face the Buddha, and the Buddha has the back. That means you are Buddha. So anybody can be a Buddha if he's enlightened one, and it is not religious. It is just being knowledgeable, enlightened, and that's what fascinates me about Buddhas. And I have a series of Buddhas which I keep doing. So I love doing those.
Wow. I think there's a lot of spirituality inside you, and that's why I think every artist is a little bit enlightened because you see beyond here, and I think that is what makes you so special. And yeah, I have, seen your Buddha enlightened one picture, and I'm very, very fascinated by it. I was born on Buddha Purnima, so obviously I get
Oh,
drawn to Buddha a
wow,
lot.
amazing. Wow, see, there's
I,
another connection out there.
there you go. There you go. There you go. So, what advice would you give to people, and what are you going to do in the workshop for indie art and advice for artists?
Sure, the advice for artists is just hone your art. If you know it, if you want it, just do it. Sometimes when we are growing up, in my classes also I tell them that if a if a table doesn't look like a table, you start pulling yourself back. That, oh, this doesn't look like what I used to do it. But imagine every kindergartner is drawing and painting. We do so much of crayons and watercolor and the pencil, and suddenly we grow up and we think that we don't know how to paint. That's not possible. Painting is not about being perfect. Perfect is a photograph, but you can just do any kind of an elephant which you feel looks like an elephant, because there would be an eye who would find that very interesting.
Fantastic. And I think now we know that photography too, there's so much to it, and it's not perfect, right? In the framing and the coloring and the lighting, and there's so much to it. So nothing is perfect. No human is perfect, I think, other
True.
than the
That's
great Buddha, right? So, so what do you think people can expect in your workshop?
So Jarna and I had actually discussed about this. Tanjore is an art which cannot be done in one sitting and in 1 hour. It at least takes 6 days to do it. But in my workshop, I only show that what you can do is a very interesting form which is right now very, very popular. It's the pouring, pour medium. So when you pour, you can create amazing art like this,
Wow.
something, or something like this.
Wow. This is no brush involved.
No brush involved. It is, you just love doing it. And now how we can marry the East and the West. So this, you just pour, and I'll show you 3 techniques of how you can pour and create. And I will show you this in another painting called Phoenix, which got created out of pouring.
Wow.
And an eye of a tiger, which got created by pouring technique. So I will make it uh, friendly to kids, because there are few chemicals which are used which will give you bigger cells, but you don't need it. You can still do the pour without those big cells. And if the adults want to learn those are few chemicals you add, and then the cells come out even bigger and beautiful. How you can make it Indian is you can actually pour this on a plastic sheet and peel it off and cut out an elephant or a flower or a sunflower and paste it on it. So the same painting, this is just pour, and you can actually have your Indian motif and then marry the pouring with the Indian art, and then can submit it for our ACL competition. So I will teach you 3 styles, how East meets West, and everything can be Eastern. The
That's
colors.
Yeah, the colors, I mean, absolutely. I think that's just so fantastic to see. I always am curious, how do artists come up with techniques like this, right? Whether it is the Tanjore painting art or Varli or Madhubani or now pouring. How do you have a sense of how somebody might have said, let's pour and make art out of this and make it into such an outstanding technique?
A lot of accidents happen, yes. And even they say dosa was actually created out of accident, because something went sour, and then they had nothing to eat, and they said, wow, this tastes so good.
All right. I think that must be it. And coming from South India, obviously, dosa, that accident means a lot to me because I think it's delicious.
Us also, oh my God, we love it.
Wonderful. Well, then let us sign off on that note here to more beautiful accidents, because not every accident becomes a dosa that lives forever or a Tanjore painting that lives forever or a pour art. So we look forward to seeing you at the workshop. and look forward to seeing your journey as you go forward. It's just so kind of you to take the time to be with us today. And thank you for all you do for the good of the world. Thank you.
Rajni ji, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for
Mangal.
having me.
God
Bye-bye.
bless.